Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. Also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you'd like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it get put together live, send me a message today. Alrighty, so tonight we're going to be building what is most probably the cheapest ever Lian Li PC. So they're definitely coming down in price. So this one here, under 2,400, just under 2,400. So it's definitely coming down. You can definitely get yourself a white Lian Li PC a lot cheaper than they used to be, like a considerable amount cheaper than they used to be. Like I said, this is probably the cheapest one that I've done. I'm a little bit strict on these. I don't do this case with, like, you know, say 3 fans or something like that. I won't sell it unless the customer buys all the fans and the correct cooler to go with it, because they just look, honestly, they look horrible if you don't fit all the fans to them. And the airflow dynamics is not really ideal if you don't fit all the fans to them. So happy days. Alrighty, who have we got there talking to us? Hey, how you going? Alrighty, so look, let's get stuck right into it. We'll go through the components here. So we've got a Ryzen 5 5600 6-core 12-thread CPU. We've got an Asus Prime B550M-A Wi-Fi. We've got a 1TB silicon power NVMe SSD. We have a 32GB of Corsair RAM, 3200MHz CL16. We've got the Asus Tough Gaming RTX 3070 card. We have a Cooler Master V650 80+ gold power supply there with all white cables. It's also got a 10-year warranty. We're going to be putting it all in a Lian Li Dynamic 11 case with an LS720WH cooler from Deepcool. This is a good quality cooler that we've used a number of times before. It's also got a 5-year factory warranty there on the pump. And we've got some Cooler Master Sickle Flow 120mm ARGB fans in there as well. Unfortunately, the same fans that are on the Deepcool cooler were unavailable, so I had to get the Cooler Master fans.
Oh, they look pretty much the same.
But they're very, very similar looking fans, and you're not really gonna notice anything. So anyway, let's get stuck right into it. Hey George, how you going? Good to have you with us as always. Alrighty, so we went with this motherboard here because it's got a bit of silver and a little bit of white on the actual PCB. So it's about $10 more than the MSI B550M Pro VDH Wi-Fi motherboard that we've used a lot. That board has a couple of extra features, but I think this is going to look better in this case for this build. So happy days. So obviously we're not using our stock cooler here for this. You could get away with just the stock cooler if you wanted to make it cheaper yourself. Maybe you want to add the AIO cooler later. Maybe you're planning an open loop for later. So maybe you just get 3 packs of fans and do it like that. That'd save you a little bit of money, I guess. So we won't be using the standard mounting bracket. Bloody hell, those dogs going nuts. You should probably go feed them or something like that so they settle down before they break something before we move out.
What was the price?
So this was $23.90 for this one. So this is, like I said, it's definitely come down, and for what it is, all white Lian Li d011 in specs of it, that's pretty decent. Oh, I've just seen I need an M2.
Fluffy now. Come on.
Need an M2 offset. Yeah, absolutely nuts.
Is this what you want?
Alrighty. So I was just missing one of my screwdrivers. What a surprise, right? Got Nicholas here. Hey Nicholas, how you going? Good to have you with us. The cat is taking center stage, someone says. I can't quite see the name there from here. So sorry about that. But yeah, the cat likes to do that. The cat's hungry. The cat, when he's hungry, likes to jump all over the place. He's quite annoying. He just meowed in the background there. He's so demanding. And he had to wait extra after last night with the blackout. So that was a bit of fun. So we got power back. It's nearly 8 o'clock, I think. Alrighty, so like I said, we've used this cooler a fair bit from Deepcool's new facility, I believe, in China. They just invested like $1 billion or something like that in a new state-of-the-art manufacturing facility. And basically I heard about that being opened, and then a couple of weeks later these new Deepcool coolers rocked up. Available now, they told me. And I went, oh, let's give them a go. And yeah, I was pretty impressed. And yeah, there's no sponsorships here or anything like that, so I'm not getting paid to say that. If you hear me say something like that, it's my own opinion. I don't want to be like, you know, biased. Alright, so we put our AM4 pieces down. So we use the standard AMD backplate here, and we just put 4 different screws on. So these can just be hand tightened. Just make sure it's nice and firm with your thumbs. So you don't need the Intel plate, you don't need the Intel kit. I normally hold on to them, so I've got some spare if anyone has to change between Intel or AMD. Just hit me up. If I don't have a spare kit, I probably know someone who does. So yeah, be sure to hit me up. Because yeah, I don't work in a vacuum. Like, you know, I've got other businesses in cities all around the country that, you know, do my warranty stuff. So, you know, if you're in Perth and you buy a PC off me, you don't have to send your PC back to me on the East Coast. You can get it serviced in Perth. So I have a guy in Perth who runs his own computer business that's, you know, a decent reputable business, and he will handle all the warranty claims and stuff like that. Not that there's, you know, very many. It's not like I sell shitloads of computers to people in Perth in general. Like, I sell a few because Perth's one of the biggest cities in Australia, right? But it's not like compared to say Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne. I sell shitloads of PCs in Perth. So it's not like we have to do a lot of warranty claims, because warranty claims are overall fairly rare. But obviously, warranty is always something that I've always got to deal with, right? There's always a certain percentage of things, and sometimes there's batch issues with things, you know, like there'll be a bad batch of coolers or power supplies or something like that. Oh. And then you'll have multiple units that are all affected by the same fault, and they'll all come back. I see it sometimes happens with SSDs as well. So I had a few silicon power ones come through that had faults, and I had to replace them for a few people. Had a few customers message me, and they're like, for some reason, all of a sudden my computer just boots into the BIOS and I can't get Windows to boot up at all, and all that. And it's turned out that their SSD has died. And we had a couple. I think I had like maybe 3 or so out of like over 100 or so. So it's not like I had shitloads of them and there was a lot of people affected, but there are a few people affected. And if you were affected by it, you know who you are. So, sorry about that. Not my fault. I don't make the parts, unfortunately. But I do support you when shit goes down. So that's all that matters. Yeah, I've already said good morning to Nicholas. How good am I?
Sorry.
How good am I?
I was feeding the doggo.
I know. and I was squinting my eyes to read the screen. Okay, so our cooler is mounted, and because we're doing a D11 build here in the regular D11 case, there's no fan at the back here, so we're going to have our pipes going up the back here so they don't cross over the RAM and they stay above the graphics card. They don't sort of sit there on top of the graphics card weighing it down or anything like that. So now we've got our fans. So we've got these deep cool fans, which are they're all like, they've got these fan and RGB 7-pin cables that they use, and yeah, they're pretty good. So we could actually, if we had the same fans in stock, we could have them all sort of chained in together and just like in one big chain of 9 fans, but that's all right. We don't have to do that, and we've got the generic connectors for these as well, so we don't, we're not sort of stuck with some random RGB architecture, infrastructure, whatever you want to call it. It's real funny when people get like super butthurt about using a certain word to describe something. They're like, "Oh, that's not right. That's not the word that I've been taught to use." And it's like, you realise that to a point, language is a fluid thing. It kind of changes and evolves. But yes, I'm not here to talk about language because it's not my area of expertise. Me giving a lecture in freaking languages at university, imagine that. Barely put a sentence together. I'm Australian, right? Prime Minister. Sometimes I get asked, why don't I use an electric screwdriver? And the reason is, it's quite easy to accidentally thread a bolt with an electric screwdriver. Now, I've always been of the impression that the amount of time that it saves is negligible compared to how easy it is to accidentally fuck something up. So I generally just do things with the regular. And so as we can see over here, we've got these daisy chainable cables. We plug that one into that one into that one, and this one here gets connected to this extension cable. And that goes out the back to our controller. And so the controller is really simple. You shouldn't mess this one up. You have SATA power, so you plug that into your power supply. And then you have this one here, and that plugs in to your extension cable. And then you just have 2 addressable cables. So fans and RGB, and these go to the motherboard. So nice and simple. The only other thing that has to be included here is we need to plug our pump, which has the same connector here, into this fan here. But we'll do that once we get it in the case, because we might want to route the cable a different way. So that is our motherboard and cooler all prepped up and ready to go. So I can sort of push that to the side there for a second. And now we've got the fun part. We've got to prep up the case. So
They're taking pre-orders for this new controller.
oh yep. So I've got to take.
You told me to feed the dogs and they'll be less crazy. They're still going nuts.
Fucking dogs. All right. So once we've removed all of those panels, we then have these two 2.5 inch drive trays at the bottom here. So I always remove these because the way that I build this is we have the cool air coming in from the bottom, then the cool air blows directly onto our graphics card. So that's generally the most ideal way of doing it, because our radiator is mounted to the top, so all the heat from the CPU gets exhausted out the top of the case. Yeah, what's up?
Pete says hi to my understand.
Hey Pete, how you going?
Benji was saying evening rose, that's business to my build, is it?
Yes, this would be yours, Benji. Sorry I didn't send you a message. I've been
Really? You suck.
I've been really busy. Yeah, Christine just told me I suck. But you can watch back at any stage. It doesn't go away once it's done, so you can check out the start of it at any stage. I'm sorry I didn't message you. And so yes, Benji is the lucky guy who's getting what will be the cheapest all-white Lian Li PC build that we've done. So that's pretty cool because people love these PCs, and if they're getting cheaper to build and put together and all that, because the cost of white parts, and they're making more cheaper white parts, that's a good thing. So that means the market is getting what it wants. Alright, so honestly I don't need that. I just want the bolts. They still have these little cheap RGB controllers there. They're for if you've got a really old motherboard and it doesn't have an RGB header. So they include it so it like increases their sales and stuff like that because more people buy it, etc. Okay. So these fans here will go on the wall. The radiator with the 3 fans gets mounted to the top, and these 3 fans here go on the bottom. Slightly different prep for those fans there, so we'll talk about them in a second. But on the bottom here, it's relatively straightforward. Okay. So these fans are basically upside down here because they're drawing cool air into the case. And so the only thing I recommend with these is just make sure if they're backwards, because you see some of the cabling and all that on the back of the fan and the sticker. So they're not symmetrical, and as a result you should make sure that they're all pointing the same way, just from an OCD sense. So make sure you do that, because that'll just annoy you and you'll probably end up wasting time at another time fixing that up. And so what I mean is, see all these cables, they're all coming out at the bottom. All these labels, they're all facing the same direction. And so yeah, just four screws on the bottom here, and then you can put your dust filter back on. So it's pretty easy. I mean, it's just time consuming. I'm relatively efficient at putting them together. You get that way after you do like 100 of them. All right. Okay, and then just got these cables here to deal with.
That's the best mailbox ever. It's a nudist holding a mailbox.
Very nice. So best way to do this, so it's super neat, is get a single cable tie. Okay, so that's all sorted. We've got our cables coming out the back there. Now we've got these three fans to deal with. So they're going on the wall here. And so they're going to be going front on. So we're going to see this side of the fan. So that looks a lot neater and cleaner. But around the back here, we've got the cables on these guides that sort of have the cables coming out to the side. So I don't actually want to see any of these cables coming out to the side on the wall. I want to just see the 3 fans, no cables at all. So I'm actually going to feed it back through and unhook them from these guides. So that the cables are coming out the back. And so I'm going to do that for all 3 of them. So I'll show you that up close. Just unhook them there, and then the cables come out at the back of the fan. And then when we mount them to the case, we don't see any cables at all on the sides. There we go. Alrighty, and so there you can see what I'm talking about. All the fan cables just come out directly at the back here, and then we can sort of tie them together, and it'll be all neat and tidy. We won't see any of the cables on the front side of the case. So if you just start from the top and just put 1 bolt in each, that'll sort of hold them in place, and that will make it a lot easier to screw in the remainders. Alright, we're nearly done with this. This is probably the worst part of doing the Lian Li, is all the fans. Okay, and then just like the other fan cables there. Yeah.
Another thing, wants to know your thoughts on the difference between 47 and 4060 Ti.
I would definitely go 4070 over a 4060 Ti. 4070 in a lot of cases is roughly on par with an RTX 3080. It's 4060 Ti. Yeah, definitely not quite as good. See, like I've said before, the thing is with 40 series is a lot of it's about power efficiency. It's not about like raw performance. That's where the whole, oh, but the 30 series is higher performance than the 40 series comes from. You might be hearing that stuff online when talking about the 4060 and the 4060 Ti. But yeah, that's copped a lot of criticism here in like the Western countries. It's more of a thing like power efficiency, more of a thing in Asia. So it's one of those things. Gamers as such, quote unquote gamers, don't appreciate the power efficiency usually. Gamers usually just care about the raw performance numbers and care less about the efficiency numbers. Okay, so we can unstrap our front panel connectors. We can unstrap our accessories kit from the case. I don't need any of those accessories for this. And then we're going to use the splitters that come with our fans here. We've got two triple PWM splitters. And so that actually makes our life a lot easier. Because instead of having 6 fan cables to power from the motherboard, now we only need 2. Because on this motherboard we don't even have a lot of cables. Sorry, we don't have a lot of fan headers. We got 1, 2, 3, and I think we don't have another one over there. No. Yeah, we're going to need every single fan header on the board to do this right. So watch out. Hey Kyle, how you going? Good to have you with us. Yeah, everything's all right. Alright, so yeah, like I said, we're just hooking up our PWM splitter for our our 2 groups of 3 fans, I should say. Spit it out. Okay, and then the rest of our cables here are addressable 5-volt cables. And so we're gonna daisy chain all of these up, and we've actually got I've actually got these little plastic things that come with our Cooler Master fans that go around the cables there just to hold them in place, because you know how annoying it can be when these things get loose in a daisy chain. Yeah.
If a cow doesn't produce milk, is it a milk dud or an utter failure?
Definitely a milk dud. Definitely. Alright, so this cable here goes to the motherboard, and we should be able to just chain in the rest of the RGB all on the one chain there. So happy days. So look, we've got everything all prepped around the back here in terms of the cables. We've got our PWM cables, we've got our RGB daisy chain. These cables here are front panel cables for our USB and audio connectors on the front of the case there. So now let's get the motherboard and the cooler in the case, and then let's get the power supply in once we get all the other cables in place. Because normally we could just put the power supply in at any stage, but it's a lot easier if you get all of the other stuff plugged in and then plug the power cables in sort of over the top of everything else. Because if not, you have a power supply here and it gets in the way of this hole down the bottom there, and it's like really annoying to sort of put it together. So definitely hold off on putting the power supply in. Do that basically as one of the last things you do right before you put the graphics card in. So you should have plenty of room up the top there to put your motherboard in and still be able to feed that CPU power cable through without too much of a problem, so you don't have to think about that. However, you will have to think about what size motherboard you're installing. And so if you're doing a micro ATX board, actually I'll leave those offsets in there. I'll just chuck some extras in. I've got a heap of extra offsets spare. So make sure if you're installing a micro ATX board that you are putting in the additional offsets that you need, because this case here comes fitted out for a full-size ATX motherboard, and if you are trying to save some money, the motherboard is one area that you can usually save a fair bit in. Oh, this is hard. Let me use this thing. Leverage makes a difference. Come on, Eric, it's all about leverage. Torque. I don't know what two of those words are. No, I've never seen that 70s show. What are you talking about? Headline. Woman cold. Bloody hell. Bloody hell.
Sounds like there's a lot of fun being had.
That IO shield did not want to come in then, hey?
It's like,
No, no, no! BitConnect! I am so excited to be here. laughing at you.
Fluffy. Maybe some sort of fluffy. Dog. Why do you look like you've done something? Where's the other one?
Alright. So when you install an AIO cooler, you probably don't necessarily need to screw in all 12 bolts. I mean, obviously you can, but don't freak out too much if you aren't able to get a couple of bolts in because of the pattern of the slots on the case there on the top. If the pattern doesn't line up and you've got a couple of holes blocked off, don't worry too much about that, you know. As long as you've got a minimum of the 4 screws in, that's probably going to be fine. I hate these bolts. They're like, it's really slippery because of the painted surface on the cooler, and these chrome bolts are just
Take it you don't like those bolts?
no, they're very, it's annoying. You'll see me struggle with the coolers and the bolts slipping out of my grip all the time. I'm gonna put that to the side because we've got some more bolts to put into that a bit later. Alright, so this cable here is for the RGB on our cooler block, and that plugs in to the end fan there. So happy days. Very good. That's all looking nice and tidy there. And then around the back here, it's just literally just this one cable to plug into the end of our daisy chain there. And will that fit over the different brand? Probably not. But can we force it in there? Yes, we can. Look at that. Okay. So 1, 2 up there, and then 1, and we just got that 1 in the middle of the board there. Oh, that's a fun one, isn't it? How are we going to do this discreetly? This is always fun. So we've got one in the middle of the motherboard there. So do this super, super, super discreetly is, yeah, a little bit of a stuff around, but we're gonna do it anyway because we're gonna make it work. That's what we do here. Custom PCs is all about making it work. It's the name of the game.
Oh, fucking cat.
Okay. And so we've just got one sneaky cable over there from behind the board. So yeah, very, very, very sneaky stuff. And one thing extra we're going to have to do, we're going to have to remove the drive tray here. Just quickly. Just to route our cables behind the board so it doesn't look like a clusterfuck. Because nobody likes a clusterfuck. Yeah.
Do you recommend GPUs with at least 12 gigabytes of RAM, or do you think that you can get away with 8? I only ask because a few mates recommended 12 gig to be safeguard you. Devs not optimizing their games is good, but the price jump kind of makes me push back, stuck between a rock and a hard place, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I guess it would depend fundamentally what resolution you game at. If you're gaming at 1080, I think you're probably going to be okay. You've got to remember that there are powerful interests that want you to buy a new graphics card as soon as possible. Okay, that's what I'll say, just as a general sort of thing. You've gotta take commentary that you hear from, especially like big YouTube channels. You got to take the commentary you hear with a grain of salt sometimes, because how much is Nvidia paying them to say that, you know, it's absolutely essential that you need to have 12 gigabytes of VRAM? Because how many people have a 3060 Ti, 3070, or a 3070 Ti that only has the 8 gigs of VRAM? I mean, Nvidia wants you to buy a new graphics card. So they want you to think that VRAM's not right. Also, AMD and Radeon, they've got more VRAM on all their cards, basically, compared to Nvidia at the same price. So they also want you to think that you don't have enough VRAM. So I think there's some pretty powerful interests out there that want you to think that you don't have enough VRAM. So I'm not saying 100% that they're all wrong. I'm not saying there's no merit to some of the stuff that they say. Of course it's true. Of course the devs aren't going to optimize games. We've seen that already. We've seen that for years. I mean, that's nothing new. Devs not optimizing games. Like, come on, guys. That's always been a thing, and it's always gonna continue to be a thing, unfortunately. So yeah, if you're looking at 1440p and 4K, yeah, I would ideally look at 10 gigabytes that the 3080 has, sort of like a minimum. And then ideally these days, if you're looking at another card, I'd look at like 4070 Ti with the 12 gigabytes that they've got. That, like I said, that, you know, they're not 100% wrong. That it's you know, it's going to future-proof you a little bit more and stuff. But like I said, it's more important if you're gaming at 1440 and 4K, because higher resolutions means that the card needs more VRAM inherently. So yeah. Alrighty, and then as for USB 3, it's around the side here. Very good. Okay. Well, we can put our hard drive cage back in place now, because we've got everything else in place. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question there about the VRAM thing a little bit, or at least gives you a different perspective that helps you weigh it all up in your head, I guess. Oh. And so yeah, just FYI here, you can mount the hard drives in two positions. You could put the cage up here or down there, and you can put the power supply up there if you want. Now I don't know why you'd really want to do that. I think the power supply is better at the bottom there. But hey, I'm not your mum. Okay. So we got all the cables and stuff routed to the board, everything sort of routed behind the board that we want to route. So let's put some more screws in there. Haven't you heard of the Deadly Garden?
No.
Oh, really?
We are so going there when we go overseas.
Yeah, all the plants are poisonous.
Yeah. You can only go there on guided tours.
Yeah, liability.
Yeah. Though you can, even if you don't like touch anything or anything, just inhaling some of the fumes while walking through there can make you pass out. It's happened to others. I want to go there. Oh, you can eat there. You can have afternoon tea.
Okay. Power supply time. So we have a nice little Cooler Master bag here for our power supply. So I'll be able to fill up a little bag full of goodies there for you.
Tim?
Yeah.
Tim says, mate, thank you. That's a very interesting way to look at things that I never thought of, and yes, it does definitely help my decision just in the process of figuring out what I need for my first PC build.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, realistically, there are still people right now running, you know, a 1660, and because they don't play like Call of Duty and stuff like that, they're playing things like, you know, City Skylines and, you know, like RPG games and stuff like that, and they're still like, yeah, it's fine, runs all the games sweet, you know, but they're not looking for like super high frame rates and stuff. So, you know, there are people with even less VRAM today, and realistically, based on the games that they play, they're probably going to be fine for the next few years as well. So, yeah. Like I said, there's always someone out there ready to sell you the next thing, alright? So always take it with a grain of salt, and yeah, whenever it comes to VRAM, just consider the fundamentals about it. You have a bigger screen, bigger pixel dimension, you need more VRAM for that. So if you're looking at playing at higher resolutions and you're looking at games that you want a higher frame rate on, then yeah, definitely consider the higher VRAM. But yeah, also just be aware that there are people trying to sell you shit. Okay. Alright, so we've got some spare cables here. Go into our bag, we've got some spare cable ties and bits and pieces there. We don't need any of them. So yeah, I'll start filling up this little bag here of goodies. Got this small cloth bag. I'm not sure what you want to use that for, but you get it anyway. But yes, I'll fill the bag up there with goodies for you. They're just little bits and pieces that'll come in handy if you ever need to make any changes to your PC. Because that's part of what makes PCs so great, is that you can always upgrade and make modifications to the system to suit your needs. PC's all about freedom. It's the opposite of Apple. Apple would never let you like build custom Apple computers yourself, not without going through Apple. So we need one cable here for our CPU, two cables for our graphics card, and one SATA cable there for our auxiliary power. And so when you mount your power supply, make sure that the fan is facing out towards the vent. If you have your power supply facing the other way, it will overheat and the unit will shut off. And if you're new to building PCs and you're new to PC parts, you're going to get really, really scared then, because after the power supply shuts off from overheating, it won't just turn back on straight away. There'll be a period of about 10 or 15 minutes where your system just won't turn off. And that's just because the power supply is on overheat warning. So it's just not firing up. It's the thing inside, it's tripped out, and it won't let you fire it up again until it drops down in temperature. So all you got to do is just walk away and let it cool down and turn it back on and it'll be fine. But yeah, don't go through the anxiety of that. Just mount the power supply with the fan facing the vent. Don't fuck that up. So I've seen people fuck up just about everything with PCs, so believe me, there's nothing I say is like too stupid, or there's nothing I say that it's just like, oh, everyone will know that. No, there's always someone who doesn't know. Oh, I forgot to put one thing in place. Oh no. Oh no.
And she said, I'm sure I'll find a use for the cloth bag.
Oh no.
What'd you do?
I forgot to hook up the RGB.
Oh, of course.
I know, right? Good on me. Yep, I know. I know. Oh, what?
There's like a mini echo kind of thing going on.
Oh, true.
And like, there's somebody there with a heap of, going to be there with a heap of reptiles. Like crocodile, python, goanna, some other venomous snakes and big lizards.
Mm. Alright, so I've forgotten to route our 5-volt RGB to the motherboard, which is a bit annoying. Yeah.
Well, she says 3600 Ryzen with 26 cc. One's upgraded to a 7600 and motherboard 32 GB RAM, and someone's upgraded GPU maybe 6700. Let's see. Can't afford both at once. What should I do first? It's mainly gaming.
I would probably do the graphics card first, because you'll probably see a bigger net performance gain from that compared to doing the CPU. Like, you'd see a little bit of a performance gain there with the CPU, but it's still not going to be quite on the same level. Okay, so that is everything hooked up. We've got our 5-volt RGB hooked up there. Bloody hell. I'd be getting ahead if it wasn't screwed on. At least I didn't go to try to fire it up and then not have it connected. are, you bastard? I was just looking for another M2 screw to screw into this offset here. Okay, so graphics card time. Oh, it's actually slots 2 and 3 that we're using here. Alright, put slot 1 back, and we will take out slot 2. Alright, graphics card time. Star of the show. Alrighty. So it's an Asus card, so that means it's going to be wrapped up like you know what. Alright, so after all that, I think we've de-stickered everything. Yes, looks like it. Oh. Okay. Alrighty. So there we have it. I just need... Do we have a white cable tie around here somewhere? I'd like a white cable tie for these two here, but look, that's realistically pretty good. Okay, so our PC is assembled. So let's see if it actually works. So are we placing any bets? Is it going to power on? I reckon it's going to power on. Oh no.
What have you done?
The daisy chain between the two different brands of fans has come unhooked. Lovely. Just what I wanted.
Page says, just sort of, is there a link to all stream cases where from it, so I brought them under the GPU to run the GPU.
There we go, look at that. I fixed it. That looks better, eh? Have we posted?
No.
No post. Do you want to check the cable? Fluffy Meow getting in the way again.
He's always in the way.
Loose cable. That'll do it. And yeah, is there a link? Is there a link to the components? Yeah, I can post that. Or if you want it ASAP, go and send me a message on Facebook, and I'll be able to do it for you. Okay. Okay. Freaking slippery bolts. Okay. So, we can get started. Oh look, armory crate. Yay. That's not going to take 10 years to install. Totally not. So we get Cinebench here, that's for our stress test. Alright, and we'll put on some other software. Oh, what's happening here? That's weird. This, I did a Windows reinstall for a friend this morning. Had the same freaking error where that icon got stuck in like the same spot there at the same point of the Windows install. That's weird. That can't be a coincidence. I wonder what happened there.
Coincidence.
I don't think so. That's
Someone's watching you.
I gotta buy a lotto ticket, I think. No. Yes. Okay. So things are starting to happen here. Alright, I don't think there's anything I've missed from in here. So we're setting up the values we want to see on our on-screen display when we run the gaming benchmarks, so you can see how the system's running. So you can set this up on your own, do this on your own computer, and you can compare it to one of the PCs you see here. Yeah, definitely. It's good to see that Lian Li, all white Lian Li builds are coming down in price. There we go. What's up?
Okay, so it was a 3070 top power, Mr. Model will be building a new CPU for his system. He's going to use 3070 Ti with Wi-Fi. 13600 found your page for custom machines.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an RTX 3070. It's sort of hard to find the 3070 Ti's at a good price. So yeah, we just got a 3070 in here. Yeah, I think if you can get a 3070 Ti at a good price, we just got a Ryzen 5600 in here, so nothing super hectic or anything like that. But I mean, with a 30 series Ryzen 5600's fine. All right. Alright, they're all ready to go. So we're just waiting on BattleNet and freaking Armory Crate. Alright, everything's updated in our store there. BattleNet has installed. And yeah, don't hold your breath for this. So we still got a few things that aren't installed, it looks like. Yeah, so we've still got a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi that's not installed. Alrighty, there's our Wi-Fi. And there is our Bluetooth. Look at that, Bluetooth. Sweet as, that's everything all installed there. We don't have any other drives or anything there. It's already installed that, so I don't know what it's talking about. It's just so slow at installing things, eh? Okay, there we go. Alrighty. So everything should be all ready to go. Alright, so I'll run Heaven here on high with no anti-aliasing. Alright, so the stats on the screen, fairly self-explanatory, but I'll explain it all. Up the top here, GPU, that's our graphics card. Temperature, usage, clock speed, wattage. Down here, MEM in green, that's our VRAM usage and clock speed. And down here we've got our CPU, temperature, usage, clock speed and wattage. Then down here we've got our RAM usage, and then this number here below RAM, that's how many frames per second it's currently running at. Alrighty, so that was Heaven there on high with no anti-aliasing. 6,000 frames per second. Alright, we've got a quick restart here. Alrighty, so the next one we run here is called Valley. We run it on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. So even if we ran it on the same settings as Heaven, this is a more demanding benchmark, but we're also running it here on higher settings. I don't know why hardware monitor's taking a little while to open there. It's a little bit weird. Anyway, back to the benchmark. Alrighty, so that was Valley there on Ultra with max anti-aliasing, and the final one we do is our 4K benchmark. Though, in my opinion, you should just stick to 1080 and 1440p with less than a 3080. Alrighty, sorry about that. So that was superposition there at 4K. And what has happened here? Okay. So we should be all looking up to date. And so we should be able to go and do our stress test. So end of the night now. Alrighty, so there's our Firmark, and here is Cinebench. So what are we doing here? Basically, we're stressing out the graphics card and CPU 100% at the same time. So all 6 cores and 12 threads of the CPU, and the graphics card down here 3D rendering at 100%. So this will generate a fair bit of heat, and then we're logging all of our temperatures here in hardware monitor. So we've got our CPU temperatures there, and we've got our graphics card temperatures here. So we can get up to 83 degrees on the GPU, 110 degrees on the hotspot there for our 3070, and then up here for our graphics card we can get up to 95 degrees on these. So it's running about 30 degrees under temperature there at the moment. That's because of the good cooler that we've got on it. So yeah, we just let this one run for 90 minutes, get a bit of power and heat flowing through the system, and then yeah, hopefully if something's going to die, it'll die while we're doing the stress test and not while you're using it for the first time. So yeah, now's the point of the night where I throw it over to anyone else who's got any other final questions or comments for me before I start. Well, it looks like that's pretty much it, I think. Pretty much it. Alrighty. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video.